Hello friends, welcome to C# Intermediate to Advanced tutorial. In this sub-series, we are going to see how to use our C# form as a model and modelless dialogs. So in this first part, we will learn the basics of C# dialogs. So in C#, software developer design Windows forms to collect input. So this we saw a lot of time in our previous videos. We open a Windows form, then we will place the user navigable items into the Windows form to collect the input. CS Windows application can display these forms as either model or modelless dialogs. So we will learn what is model and modelless dialog also in this sub-series. But what you have to know for now is once the form is designed, then you can decide whether you can launch it as a model dialog or a modelless dialog. So the model dialog will block the caller. That means a dialog can call one more dialog, or from your form you can invoke a dialog. So model and modelless, right? You can invoke the dialogs. So if it is a model dialog, the caller will get blocked. That means once user closes the model dialog, then only the control will resume. Modelless dialog does not block the caller. So that's the difference. So model dialog will block the caller. So the caller will call the model dialog and the caller get blocked, and caller will resume the control back when model dialog is closed. But in case of your modelless dialog, the caller will continue with the execution after invoking the dialog. So first let us look at the model dialog. Let's say we have a calling code and it invokes a, let's say, a dialog, model dialog with some controls in it, and the dialog will have some code, right, for collecting the user input and processing it. Let's assume that the dialog is called from this location. The control comes here, it invokes the model dialog, and if you see here, it will be blocked. So next line will not get executed and it get blocked. So after that, only the code for the model dialog will get executed. That means if there are some event driven code, say for example a button click or a checkbox checked, so all those event, if it is handled, those code will run, and once user closes the dialog, the control will resume back here. OK or cancel button click, or we can simply say once user closed the dialog, the control will resume back. So after that, execution start flowing. So this portion here, it is blocked in a caller perspective, and if you see here, we launched the dialog as a model dialog. So once you launch the dialog as model dialog, the caller will get blocked. So this is the reason, say for example, this will be the dialog, and by clicking this button you launched this. Once this model dialog is displayed, since it is blocked here, user cannot access any of the control here because it is blocked. So there is no code that will run when this called dialog is displayed as model. Once you close it here, then control resumes back to the calling code. So the calling code can be a UI or it can be a normal non-UI application also. In case of UI application, you can clearly see how the call is blocked. So after the call to model dialog, you cannot access any of the control from the called code. That means it get blocked. In case of modeless dialog, let's assume the same stuff here, and we will assume that there is one more dialog. This is called as a modeless dialog. And if you see here, the control flow occurs like this. This piece of code invokes the modeless dialog, and there will be a code, and this code will start running the code for modeless dialog, and in the meantime this code also will continue running. That means modeless dialogs are not blocking one. So we can say this as if it is thread 1 and if it is thread 2, they both are independent. It's not a blocking one. So once the modeless dialog is shown, the code will start executing here. Here also user can interact with it. Now if we go back to this as a dialog, caller dialog, so from this dialog, if you called this one as a modulus, user can interact with this dialog, and the user can, and at the same time interact with the main dialog also. Why? Because here we invoked the child as modulus. That means here you will not get blocked. After making call to this child dialog, the execution resumes from here immediately. In model dialog, if you see, control comes here, blocked, then control is completely here in the model dialog. Once model returns, then the control resumes back to the caller. Here the dialog is invoked. Immediately after invoking, the next instruction sets are executed. That means both dialog is alive. There is nothing blocked here. You can imagine that let's say you have a Word document, and in the Word document you started typing some a big document, and in between you want to know whether a particular keyword already exists in the document. So you can invoke a search, and you can ask for searching a particular word in a big document. So while it is searching and producing the result, what are all the location in which the searched word is found, you can start typing here. That means here it is doing the work of searching, and in the meantime the application is allowing to type something here, or formatting some of the text here, changing the background color with some other UI. So that's the use of a modeless dialog. Alright, now we will go back. One dialog can call another dialog, and the nesting can go deep. So here itself, if you say this is a dialog and it calls one more dialog, from here you can call one more dialog, and from here you can call one more dialog, also with a different combination, model and modeless. However you want to call, you can call. But here we are talking about the nesting. So for example, this is one dialog, and for simplicity, let's consider all our model dialog. So this is one dialog, and this one is one dialog, and here is one dialog. And if you see, let's consider everything as model dialogs. The dialog is called from here, and this dialog calls one more dialog. And if you see, at this stage here we are blocked, and here we are blocked in this dialog, and the execution is at present here. So user can only work with this dialog, the bottom two dialog. That means let's say D1, D2 and D3. So when user is in D3, so they cannot access D2 and they cannot access D1 also. When D1 calls D2 as model and D2 calls D3 as a model dialog. So, and once it returns back, the control will resume and start executing. And similarly, when we close this, then control resumes and starts executing the remaining code in D1. So this is what called dialog nesting. Say for example, personal user information form. User clicks personal detail or banking detail. So once user clicks personal detail, there may be one more dialog, and here there is one more dialog for a formatted name. And if you see, the main action here is collecting the personal information. Then it came here to collect all the personal information, but for one specific name, they kept a field as a read only. Let's assume like that. And if the application calls one more dialog just to collect the user first name, middle name, and last name to have that in a formatted way, then you can see how the nesting is going on. This is completely a personal information with the personal and banking detail and other detail. From here, you've gone to a specific information to collect the personal information. From here, you've gone to even more specific information of collecting the person name. That means in components, first name, middle name, last name, title, those stuff. All right. So the dialog nesting is allowed, but however, it is not advised. So if the nesting goes too deep, then this will produce a very bad user experience. So in this sub-series, we will learn C# dialog. That means we will learn how to launch the dialog as model, as well as launch the dialog as modeless. And when we learn this, we will also learn how the modal dialog is blocking the calling dialog, and modeless is allows calling dialog to be navigated. I mean, the calling dialog is not disturbed by launching the modeless dialog. A user can interact with both. So those two we will see here in this series, and we will still go with form design only, and you will see how we treat that form as a dialog. We will convert that as a dialog so that we can call it as a model or modeless dialogs. That's all here in this video. There is no demo here. Thank you for watching. Bye.